Tech fans, it's time for Up with the White and Gold. He's John, GaTechJon Watts. I am Jeremy, the Impact York. This is Impact Media's weekly show all about everything Georgia Tech football, and there is a lot going on. We're going to jump right into it, but before I do that, how are you, John?
I'm doing all right. Been an interesting week. Locally, we're building up the homecoming in Carrollton, so everyone's doing that. And my son sent me on an adventure trying to find his backpack today, and I even had the band director looking for it. And of course, nor my son nor the band director could find it. And of course, my daughter finds it in 2 seconds after looking for it.
Is that the older or the
Go
younger
figure.
daughter?
Older.
Okay. It might have been an
Yes.
even more interesting story if the younger had, but I
I
just thought I'd ask.
mean, yeah, she could have probably done it, but yeah, no. Since Jackson eighth grade, the eighth grade get to march in the parade, so they have to go practice.
Hmm.
So outside of that, it's been a little crazy. Found my sister's not doing so well, so it's just kind of like
Yeah.
always,
Yeah,
right of life.
I actually spoke to her a couple weeks ago, so I know a lot about that situation as well. And
Yeah,
yeah, obviously our thoughts and prayers are out to everybody, but especially your sister and everybody else.
thank you, sir.
And speaking of homecoming, we'll go ahead and throw that in. I completely forgot to say it on the UGA show, but this Friday, this guy will be hosting the home team sports media. I believe I said that right. Halftime, more than likely the halftime show, but definitely the post game show. You can download their app. You can go to their website. I'm good friends with a couple of them. We used to do some shows together, and they reached out because they needed some help this week. And luckily, I was able to come help them. I'm not going to make it seem like I'm coming to save the day, but no, it'll be fun to be back on some fun recordings and live radio with a couple of those guys. Maybe we'll get them on here. We'll start doing some cross branding stuff. But
Yep.
I'll definitely have more of the links as the week goes by. But that's a lot of fun. I'm glad I'm going to be able to do that. I know you'll be at homecoming, so there's a good chance we'll be corresponding on talking about that game.
No, I'm going to be at home. Kristen has this one this week, so the wife has this one. So I'll be home with the other kids, so you'll actually be closer to me.
Yeah,
than
actually, I will. Yeah, because when you asked
just
me
down the
where
road.
the show was gonna be going live from, I said actually the closest school to your house, not necessarily the one your kid goes to. So,
Right.
but that's for Friday. That's down the road. Let's talk about what
Yep.
happened this past Friday. Another Friday, just a Friday ago, where Georgia Tech takes on South Carolina State. You can say what you want. South Carolina State came to play. I felt like they could have scored probably twice as many points as they actually did. They just couldn't execute at certain times. But 48-13 is your overall score. Uh, that's a good Tech victory. Tech was able to showcase a lot of stuff. What did you see in this game? What's your takeaway from it?
Yeah, I definitely we started out a bit stronger than like last week, or the previous week, where we struggled a little bit in the first quarter. This time we definitely found some rhythm. We did a lot of, we had several people, kind of definitely rushing and receiving by committee, kind of spread out the plays there, and I think it worked pretty well. Yeah, like I said, there was definitely South Carolina State did come in a couple times where they did manage to score a couple times. So they're not a bad team. They definitely got some. I think both sides definitely do some things to work on, but I think for South Carolina State, they just couldn't finish, and both sides had some things go wrong that self-inflicted things. So that definitely doesn't help.
I wonder if the weather delay kind of played a part in that because we saw that with the Notre Dame game last week, where a big weather delay benefits one team over the other. At this point, maybe that's part of why South Carolina was a little slow out of the gate.
Yeah, definitely for sure. I was thinking that myself because I was wondering, as a player or anything, even as us, back in marching band, you get that you're getting amped up to go, and they're like, oh, sorry, we're not going to go. And in this case of this one, it did it again. They're like, all right, we're ready to go. We got a time to go, and no. So this one ended up being delayed almost 2.5 hours after the start should have happened. So I think that would wondering myself if that I kind of played into it. I
Because I mean,
mean, you're kind of come down.
right. I was just gonna say
Sorry.
2.5 hours is almost as long as the ball game is anyway. So it's like wait an entire game and then now play the game you were supposed to 3 hours ago.
Definitely play it different because now you're instead of playing around or 1 o'clock in that weather, then you've got 3:30 and pushing a little later in the end of the day and into the evening. Things can change a little bit.
Yeah, I guess they were lucky. I was mistaken. The Friday was the kickoff. The Saturday game. I promise you, I'll watch the right game this time. If you watch last season, you'll know what I'm talking about. Uh, but yeah, they got lucky they were playing on a Saturday. If they'd have played this on a Friday, then that means that they would have probably had to just play on Saturday anyway. So, but this one kind of
Yeah.
worked out. It seemed like the person who was ready to go coming out of the weather delay was Haynes King, that decided it was his personal mission to see if he could just light the world on fire like it was a pinball machine. The only thing I don't like is that they took him out 10 yards short of going 300 on back to back, throwing for 300 back to back. And that's the first, I think, whenever somebody does go 300 back to back, it's the first time since like 2001 or something like that. And I know they didn't do it on purpose. Brent Key was just trying to get Zach Pyron some more reps and also to give King a rest. But I mean, it's 10 yards. He was averaging 10 yards a pass. That's one more pass.
Yeah, I'm definitely. I mean, if it keeps us up, I mean, definitely will have another opportunity to do so. But yeah, that's what I was thinking myself. The announcers kept mentioning it, and I'm like, all right, he's almost there. He's almost there. And they're like, well, guess that's not going to happen today. I'm like, really? Just give him 10 more yards, but it's just another first down, and he has it. But yeah, that definitely. It's been a long time since we've had someone throw. I mean, we had all those years under Paul Johnson where we were running triple option, so we weren't getting a whole lot of passing then. So yeah, definitely, it's so kind of a refresher to kind of see a passing game again. Definitely, I mean, that's when you can connect and you have players who can do it. I mean, we have 9 different people get a reception, at least, and then 7 of them got several receptions. So it was definitely good to see that passing game again.
Yeah, definitely. And actually, you could actually say eight if you count Pyron throwing to the other team. 8 different people got a reception. But
Well, yeah,
I don't fault him in that either. I think that was the pass to make. It just those kind of things happen. But I will
yeah,
have to say, a lot of UGA fans and I have had conversations since their game, and a lot of them are talking about their schedule. And when I brought up the end of the year game, obviously between Tech and Georgia, a lot of them have said, "Yeah, we've kind of started to pay a little bit of attention to that. We're kind of, they're not really watching Tech games, but they're seeing some of these highlights. They're seeing that it's not the triple option anymore. It's not just run all the time, and they're seeing that Haynes King and even Zach Byron can fling the ball a little bit. I think it's going to be a pretty good game at the end of the year."
yeah, definitely. I mean, bringing in Haynes, out of Texas A&M, it works really well. It fits in the offense. I mean, like I said, it showed today. I mean, not today, Saturday. It really worked. I mean, even in the first game, even though it was a loss, I mean, it was still a good game for them. So I think it's did pretty well. Um, and I think, yeah, definitely going forward in that Thanksgiving game against Georgia. No, it's not Thanksgiving, but around Thanksgiving. Definitely be a good one
Yeah.
this year.
I was about to say, wow, is that right at Thanksgiving? Man, we might have to call in some favors. We might have to see if we can figure that one out.
It's
Where's that?
always this. It's
Is that
always this.
at Tech this year or is that Georgia?
I think we're playing home this year.
I think it is.
Uh,
Let's find out. See whose internet's working better. You are playing at home. And that
yeah, guess
is
you got two
that
too.
is yeah, that is the Saturday after Thanksgiving.
Yep, every year
Interesting.
except for that one COVID year.
Yeah, obviously. That's it's interesting. I might have to figure that one out.
Yep.
I think that's yeah, that's the only Tech Georgia game I've ever been to was one at Tech. So might have to figure that one out. But what direction do you want to go with it? What was it about either Tech's offense or defense just stood out to you, or you were just, blown back by, or just the most entertaining thing?
Yeah, I think I kind of mentioned it already is, the ability to kind of spread it around. We had 7 different rushers, 9 different receivers. We had, 4 touchdowns, but, those 4 different players got those touchdowns. I mean, Trey Cooley, Eric Singleton Jr., Dominic Blaylock, Brad Caesar. We're able to kind of spread that around. And so it's not how, in years past where we've had those incidents where, they guard a guy like Calvin Johnson. And it's kind of hard to spread it around. So yeah, I definitely like the ability to, kind of look around. If one thing doesn't work, we got someone else. We can move people in, move people out.
Yeah, definitely so. And what's crazy is that to me, your best running back is Trey Cooley, and Jamal Haynes had 9 carries for 113 yards, which is 12.6 per rush, and he had a touchdown, including a 67-yard run. I mean, basically, your backup slash he's probably your backup. Your backup running back had a slightly better day than your starter because Cooley had 93 yards on 10 carries, which was about 9.38, and he had the touchdown as well. Just because they're flinging the ball and just because Haynes King found the end zone 4 times doesn't mean they've abandoned the run. You've got the runners to back it up.
Yeah, like I said, definitely be able to move around. Sorry, got a little distracted. A 7-year-old came in the room.
I was wondering. I was like, what are we looking at?
Yeah, definitely. I was like,
Yeah, clearly we're not in the same room. I don't know if
um,
people can tell. We're
yeah,
not in
definitely.
the same room.
No, no, that's a good thing. Uh, okay. Yeah, definitely. Like I said, different players got some good rushing yards there. So definitely, again, like I said, spread it around. And different players got 60 yards. We got some, a couple of them got some touchdowns. Uh, so yeah, definitely was a good there.
Well, and then, now that we dive into the defense a little bit, I have the same argument that I did on the UGA show that, truth be told, we just recorded right before this one. You guys check out all these shows because the Kennesaw show will follow this one. But I could have swore that Georgia Tech had at least a couple sacks, and at least the unofficial ESPN statistician, which I argue with all the time, he gives credit for some tackles for losses, but I could have swore it was either Paul Moala or it was Kennard. It was somebody I swear had a sack, and they didn't give him credit for it. But part of why South Carolina State only scored 13 and not 26 was not just because they didn't execute in certain times when they got close enough. This defense started to just swarm for back, lack of a better way to put it. They swarmed around the ball and made sure that, they may give you 3 yards, but they weren't letting you get a first down.
Yeah, definitely. Like maybe some of those sacks would probably how ESPN works, but yeah, I mean definitely. They gave us a total of 4 tackles for loss.
Yeah.
3 tackles. So I mean, 65 tackles in total. I mean, it's good, and then even got the interception, so and
Mm-hmm.
some fumble recovery. So yeah, definitely those kind of things help when you can take the ball away from another team. But like you said earlier, we did the same thing. So it was kind of those middle quarters. Looks like we did kind of lay off a little bit, and then a little bit. It was still 28-6 at halftime. So yeah, this is some of those areas. Our defense did well, but it was coming to areas like we kind of did that first game. Was you get ahead and you kind of lay back, and then the other team starts to try to come back. Luckily with this game, we just kind of kept putting it on and carried it out through the rest of the game.
Yeah, and since you mentioned the halftime score, we have to give a shout out to the pro team right down the road from where Tech plays. That yeah, the halftime score was 28-6, Falcons fans, 28-6, but it ended a little differently than the last time that happened in the state of Georgia. So just shout out. I mean, nothing personal, but Cowboys fan here, Patriots fan there. So we want the Falcons to do well. We want to say that we don't want anything bad, but it's really funny whenever that score comes up. It's just one of those things. But there was a part of I don't know if you want to of the Tech special teams that got pretty cold, and I'm talking about Gavin Stewart. Gavin Stewart has struggled a little bit out of the gate, and I like that Brent Key immediately went to, and I wanted to say cold on purpose because all of a sudden Aiden Burr comes in and he goes 2 for 2, including hitting that 42-yarder. Do we have a kicking controversy, or is this still Stewart's gig?
I mean, I could see doing Burr coming in. Stewart was great on extra points. He went 4 for 4 on extra points, but could not get that field goal. Like you said, Burr came in, got 2 for 2 on field goals and 2 for 2 on extra points. So I mean, he was on par. I didn't expect that to come in. I mean, Gavin Stewart has really been the guy who's kind of going from the beginning, but when things aren't working, then you got to try to see if something else works. And Aiden Bird, devil did step in and help out there.
Yeah, Aiden Burr, the pride and joy of Kennedale, Texas. He is 6'1", 198 pounds. That is pretty much what I am, but I am definitely not as muscular as this kid.
Yeah,
I
I'm
like.
nowhere near that. I mean,
I was about to say I like waffles. We'll make another waffle reference on this show too. I like waffles and tater tots way too much to be in good shape for that.
I hear that. I mean, you are the one that had to eat at the Waffle House for
I
like
did.
24 hours.
I did. That's a podcast unto itself.
Yep, but I mean, that makes me good. Makes me good pecan waffles down there at Waffle House. Might
They
want to check
do.
those out.
But that was we need to get sponsored because no joke, in the UGA show we said something about waffles. Now we're talking about Waffle House here. They are building one right down the street from where I'm at very, very soon. um Speaking of your sister, it's not far from where she lives either. It's kind of in between the two of us is where that thing's going.
Hmm, that's an interesting place to
Right
put
off,
something.
for lack if you're in the area, it's right off two major highways. It's where some storage buildings used to be, or some outbuildings used to be, next to a church, if that helps. And
Yep, yep,
right across from the gas station.
yep.
Yep. They officially moved those buildings the other day, so hopefully they're going to break ground. We're going to get a Waffle House very soon right there.
You're gonna Waffle House, and then you're gonna get some distillery out there.
Yep.
Y'all moving
And
up out there, because
hey, moving up in the world over here. We got George Jefferson, everybody. But overall, what's kind of your final takeaways from the win versus South Carolina State?
yeah, it's good to get a win early, and want to kind of continue that momentum this week, which I know we'll talk about in a little while. But definitely overall, good game, good play through. So like I said, there's always things you can look at and fix. I mean, no one's 100%, so no one's perfect. So there are things we can take away, but overall, continue to play throughout the game, keep pushing, and it wasn't it wasn't one of those kind of 80-0 Oklahoma wins, but definitely didn't take our foot off the gas.
Yeah, I definitely like that. Is Coach Key was like, it's nothing personal, all the respect to South Carolina State, but we need to make statements, and if we get a chance to make a statement, we're going to. And I think they did make a statement. I think they elevated themselves just in 1 week to where you're not at the bottom anymore. You're kind of part of that middle of the pack. You're not FSU, you're not Miami, you're not Virginia
Yeah.
Tech, maybe one of those, but you're not that far off. You're showing everybody you could probably hang with them, and that's definitely a good thing.
Yeah, definitely. I think once we get back into ACC play in a couple weeks, start getting, hope we get some more wins, we can actually move up to the middle. Starting the season off with a ACC loss didn't help. And it's an odd look to the ACC. I know before Saturday when the bottom two teams were Georgia Tech and Clemson.
Hmm.
It was a weird look, but I know going forward, we'll be able to get some more wins in and got to move up. But yeah, I mean, definitely, like I said, it's not FSU. I mean, FSU is having a great year this year, but we can still look at the middle of the pack and uh, make a statement, a better statement than improve on last year.
Oh yeah, I don't remember our exact totals, but I think we both had them around 7 or 8 wins this year, and that's
Yep.
very attainable. You got to win games that you can win. That's definitely one you can win. You got a couple other ones coming up. We'll talk about those as they come up, but we also kind of buried the lead. This was win number 750 overall for
Yeah.
Georgia Tech, which is a lot. I mean, you guys can say, well, they've been a school for 100 years, or they've been a school. It doesn't matter. You still have to win the games, and you know we could do like all the broadcasts do anyway. We're not talking about the days of John Heisman, which is about the only era they ever want to talk about on broadcast, which is really, really weird. But
Yep.
what does 750 wins mean to you?
I mean, I believe the stat was we were the 21st school to do so. I mean, looking over the years of, like you said, John Heisman, Bobby Alexander, Bobby Dodd, William Alexander, Bobby Dodd, Paul Johnson, Chan Gailey.
Jeff Collins.
No, we can yeah,
He got what,
got to
three
throw
of
him in there.
those? He got about three during his era, I think.
And I think he got 9 between those 3 years he was
Yeah.
there.
Hey,
Um,
hey, if not for
yeah,
those nine, you'd be at 741.
yeah, definitely. So I mean, everyone played their role, um, and those different things. We had players come through like Calvin Johnson. You've had players come through like Reggie Ball. You've had players like um, Joseph Leati Anawahi. And the WWE fans know him as Roman Reigns.
Mm-hmm.
So we have different players come through and different people kind of come to the game, but you know, we always still hold that we are the oldest. We have the oldest on-campus stadium. The years and things we've gone through since, like I said, over 100 years and different things we've seen in Atlanta. Um, so yeah, it's a big deal. 750.
Oh yeah, I just had to give shout out Roman Reigns there. That's why I happen to have the title belt close by. That's shout out Roman Reigns there. By far the most successful former Georgia Tech football player in the WWE. By far, we'll give him that.
Yeah, he's I mean, it's been a while since I've seen him and all the guys on campus. So he was definitely always a great guy.
He'd be a lot easier to notice nowadays.
Yeah, a lot.
But let's say we got enough time left for this. Let's go ahead and swap to because if we have to, we'll do a quick preview. It didn't have to be that long. Let's swap to
Yep.
these topics real quick. And the way this is, the first topic is going to be across all three shows. You're going to hear it on UGA. You're going to hear Jake's take on this show about it, and you're going to hear my take on the Kennesaw show. I'll probably combine the other ones all on the other ones. If you want my takes, you want to go to Kennesaw show. John's takes will be on this one. Jake's are on UGA. For the most part, I'm bowing out of them. This will be more about your responses. But I just want to start with kind of your overall take on Deion Sanders and the Colorado Buffaloes this year. They are 2-0. Do you think that he's got a legit contender there at 2-0, or do you think it's more a lot of hype going on, or is it somewhere in between?
I'm looking a little bit in between. I know, I mean, with the name Deion Sanders, you're going to get a lot of hype and a lot of draw there. But I mean, wins that they produce, if they can keep producing the wins that they're getting, then it's one thing to have hype, but if you can back it up, okay. I know. I mean, he came in really kind of strong. I mean, he telling people, you know, you might not be here. I mean, we got people coming in. He brings in, I mean, his own family. His son's a quarterback there. I mean, he's doing pretty well. So I think it is a little bit in between. I want to kind of continue watching as the season goes because, like I said, it's still out, but it's still got a long season to go. If he can maintain it, then good. I mean, it's a good thing out there. Um, but I mean, it is Colorado, so we're not talking. No offense to Colorado, but you're in a conference that's not really talked about so much, like your SECs, your ACCs, your Big Tens. So not downplaying it at all, but you know, I can't say much. I mean, Colorado was the shareholder of the 1990 national championship, so and they've been there. So it'll be interesting to see how the season goes. But right now it looks good. But is it that initial hype and adrenaline that they're doing, or are they really that good?
Yeah, in fact, I can't remember if it's Colorado or Colorado State, but there is a pretty famous wrestler in the WWE that went to one of those places. And if any of our watchers or listeners want to send in who that is, we'll give you a shout out on the next show. And if we ever get those stickers in and stuff like that, we'll send you some of those. But that'll be the trivia question for this time around. Trust me, it'll be really, you won't have to dig very deep to figure out who that is. But let's see. I do want to get into the second subject a little bit here in a second, but what do you think of the quarterback there at Colorado? I mean, obviously he's Deion's son, but seems like he can fling the ball a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he did really well when they were down in Jackson State, and they were a pretty good powerhouse down there. And bringing him up into Colorado, yeah, moving up into D1, and he's continuing that success. Um, I mean, definitely good. He's got good players to be able to throw that ball around a little bit. So I mean, he's great. Definitely. Again, I know, kind of like we said with Dion and the rest of the team, we'll continue watching and see if we can continue to produce.
Definitely so. It was freaking one of the fur balls over here beside me out, so I had to move the title belt. That's what I was moving around. Well, real quickly in the last handful of minutes we got here, the ACC is going to have some new teams very soon. We know about the SEC adding some, but it looks like Cal, Stanford, and Southern Methodist University, otherwise known as SMU. A lot of people don't know what SMU stands for. They're out of Texas, by the way, in case people want to know. But you're adding those three teams. What do you think that means for the ACC, and which of those three are you more looking forward to?
I mean, the ACC and those two, and those split out, especially Cal and Stanford, who have been in the Pac-12. It's been kind of the mission, and I think they're last down to like four teams. But it brings in revenue for the ACC, which it really could use. Cal comes in with 8 million guaranteed, and of that revenue, SMU said they just want to be part of a Power Five conference, so they said we will take no money just to be in the Power Five. But it also helps, ACC get a little more exposure with a team like teams like Cal and Stanford, who are big on the West Coast. I think one of the bigger things, I mean, probably the thing is that we are the Atlantic Coast Conference, and now we have schools on the West Coast and one almost on the Gulf of Mexico. So, but then again, we have Louisville, so and Notre Dame, not football, but otherwise. So, maybe think about changing the name, or maybe just whatever. We just do what we want. But yeah, I think it's definitely a good thing. Different styles and bringing it in, but it's going to be interesting when schools like Miami had to travel all the way out to California. Because right now, I mean, Miami to Louisville, it's a lot closer than Miami to Los Angeles.
Yeah,
So yeah, it'll be different, and we're going to need that money. It was interesting to see because for that to have been approved, 75% of your schools have to approve it. And initially, there were four schools that didn't want it.
right.
That being Florida State, Clemson, um, North Carolina, and NC State. So one of them flipped, and FSU has already threatened to leave the ACC if they don't get more money. So it'll be interesting.
Bye, Felicia.
I mean, I think they'll
Yeah.
probably get some money this year with
Yeah,
being
yeah,
where they
they're
are. So I
supposed to
think,
get some of that. But we got about a
yeah,
minute left. Quick score prediction on Georgia Tech versus Ole Miss this Saturday.
I'll go 34-31 Tech.
I think you can win this game too. I think it's going to be a little lower score. I'll go 27-23, something like that. I think it's just under that, but I think Tech definitely has the opportunity. This is a winnable game. Who cares about that number next to Ole Miss? I think this is the perfect time to play Ole Miss, and it's
Yep.
going to be under the lights. SEC Network, 7:30. Mississippi State is a 19.5-point favorite. Take the under, by the way. We just told you it's going to be a close game.
Yeah, that's Ole Miss, by the way, not Mississippi State.
Oh,
Um,
either one.
it's only down there in Mississippi.
Yeah.
Yeah, down in the lights in Oxford, Mississippi. So we'll travel down there. So I think it's definitely a good night game. Night games are always fun. We see those all the time. I've both been in several night games on different levels. So yeah, that would be a good one.
But that's going to be the end of Up with the White and Gold. He is GaTechJon Watts. I am Jeremy the Impact York. We will see you guys next week. Why don't we get a Go Tech to sign us out?
Go Jackets.